What's good, y'all, and welcome to another video. It is time for our showcase of the most anticipated, the most overhyped, or maybe underhyped, and most awaited character ever since probably Lust, and that is SUN-WUKONG. He has been rumored for quite a while, and the leaky boys have been leaking since forever. So our mission today is going to be having a look at his kit and seeing if he's A, worth the hype, B, how do you get him and when you get him, and C, how strong is he, right? That's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and we also have a trailer down there.
Our research begins.
If you appreciate the time and effort that I put into these showcases to try and help you decide on if you should or shouldn't summon and try to give you the character's abilities and such in the most clear way possible, please do consider leaving a like and a comment if there's something that interests you in regards to SUN-WUKONG. I'll obviously try to answer most if not all comments, and if you really do fancy it, consider subscribing. Enough of the self-promo. SUN-WUKONG, here we go. So, SUN-WUKONG is a fighter. He is also Watcher and Nightmare faction, which reminds you of someone else, Kigiri. Kigiri also is Watcher and Nightmare. The funny part is he is Nightmare Watcher, while Kigiri is Watcher Nightmare. I don't know why, you don't know why, maybe they change it.
Monkey King is
It doesn't really make too much of a difference. So, we'll obviously base stats and such compared to Kigiri, but before we get into the base stats, let's start with the trailer. You can already hear in-game sounds and in-game music are on, which means it's trailer time. First watch we're gonna do nothing, no speaking, no talking, no nothing, just watching, and then we'll rewatch it, do a bit of analyzing, and then we'll continue on with the rest.
Monkey King is here.
Okay, and we go back in. So, first off, this does kind of look like the waterfall of Kineza, right? Salazar's waifu. And then, yeah, right, some epic style music, and it is SUN-WUKONG facing against the heavens, pretty much lore / his story accurate. The enemies in the heavens, it's his fight against the heavens, him summoning his Nimbus Cloud, and then we have, for whatever reason, Torador dropping down. So, just from the first watch in this trailer, there's two interesting shots. Number one is obviously the enemies that come down against this Nimbus Cloud, and then these in the heavens. We'll just have a quick look at them and see if we might find something interesting.
King is here.
And then we'll obviously get into the nitty-gritty of his kit. Okay, so here we have the first picture where it's like these rows of enemies looking down at him from the heavens. We have one very prominent guy, and that is obviously Torador right here. And then I think this guy is rather interesting with like the big wings. I don't quite think we know who that's supposed to be. I don't think that's Kate, because that guy is pretty much a bit too big for that. So yeah, hard to say who that's supposed to be, and the rest are pretty much indiscernible, but it is a lot of enemies he's facing off against. And then secondly, we have this other picture right here where these guys come flying down, and then we have Torador, probably Ares, Deimos, our flying fusion girl, Pyros, for whatever reason, And yeah, these guys are obviously facing up against Sun-Wukong on his Nimbus Cloud. Interestingly enough, we have a Lord of the Inferno faction, another Inferno unit, and then probably 3 Nightmare units, with Torador obviously being the Nightmare Lord. And I kind of do wonder what the game plan here is, because it does look like he'll crash against Torador, she'll probably be fine, but what about Ares, Deimos and Pyros? Aren't they just gonna like fall down to the ground and get smushed? Like, I don't really know what their game plan was, but hey, let them face against Sun-Wukong. Enough of the analyzation, let's get into the kit. As promised, it's time to answer our very first question, and that is, how can you actually obtain him? The answer is, he is our Christmas banner. The predicted date is the 27th of December. Just know that it is going to be Christmas weekend when you will be able to summon for him, and even more importantly, on the how you get him is that he is a limited unit. The same way Kigiri was also a limited. And after the last update, it now only takes you 200 summons at maximum to be able to get your hands on Sun-Wukong. Obviously, if you're lucky enough, you'll get him way before 200 summons. So, the 27th, 200 summons, limited unit, that is Sun-Wukong. As every good showcase, it's time for the base stats. Here we go. Okay. 2-tile range. It is a fighter with 2-tile range. Very, very important, and already a huge plus in comparison to Kigiri, who only has a 1-tile range. So pretty much you can just put him either behind a wall, behind obstacles, or behind a tank and have him hit in front. Nice. And then we have a huge HP pool of around 29,100. It does seem like he might have to rely on HP. So 29,100 HP is quite a lot. If we compare it to Kigiri, you can see he has around, that's because he wears an artifact, he has around 3,000 base HP more. And then we have the attack, so 6,500 or 6,498 plus 50 through collection, versus Kigiri at 6,470, so 28 attack over Kigiri. Next up, defense at 2,100 is pretty high, at least if you compare it to like the average of units, but for fighters it is pretty much par for the course. Standard. Magic res as usual really low unless you are a mage at 500. Cost with 15 on the cheaper side for a fighter, really rather cheap actually. Block of 2, standard. Redeployment time of 60 seconds, so nothing too crazy there. 2.6 second attack interval, which is around the same of like the Arrogances, Salazars, Kigiris. 100 base attack speed, 150% crit damage, 13 rage per second, 11 rage on basic attacking, and 6 rage on rage region attacked. So if he gets hit. Okay, so far so good. That was his base kit base stats. Looking pretty impressive and already more than enough to face off against the Kigiri. Which brings us to the most important part, the thing you're all here for, the skills.
Who needs a hero when you've got a legend? The king will be right back.
So, talent. The third basic attack summons a Sage Clone. What are Sage Clones? Sage Clones last 20 seconds and inherit 100% of the hero's attributes. Each basic attack deals 40% damage to one adjacent enemy, and these Sage Clones take 50% more damage. Okay, so what we learned is they do 40% of his basic attack damage, or basically 40% of his stats as a basic attack, and they take 50% more damage. So if he gets hit for 10,000, they get hit for 15,000. So he summons one Sage Clone within the ultimate's range. Currently I don't know the ultimate range, you'll have it on the screen right now. And yeah, so up to 3 Sage Clones can exist simultaneously, and That means after 9 basic attacks, my man has 3 clones on the field, which then deal a total of 120% damage. He gains 1 stack of Undaunted Might every 30 seconds, so pretty much 2.5 minutes or 150 seconds is all it takes for him to do 5% more damage to elites and bosses as a free damage boost, cause why not? And if summoning a Sage clone isn't possible because there are either the field is blocked, so you can't summon them on the field, or there are already 3 Sage clones, the 3rd basic attack will instead give him a 20% self-attack boost, because why not? Okay, so that is already a pretty ridiculously long talent with a lot of intricacies, but that is still not even the half of his kit. Let's have a look at the rest. So, physical attack deals 120% damage to one enemy in the 2-tile range. Okay. And then a Golden Cudgel Strike. Basic attack has a 25% chance to deal 200% damage and inflict a stun. That stun lasts for 1 second. Okay. So rather than doing 120% damage, you instead deal 200% and you inflict a stun at a 25% chance, so 1 in 4. If the enemy is immune to stun, so for example Guild Boss 1, when this ability is triggered, it instead deals an extra 200% damage 1 time, meaning that at a 25% chance you deal 400% damage against the Guild Boss. So every 4th basic attack pretty much is a basic attack in and of itself. Okay, seems pretty broken. Next up we have a Golden Glare. When the hero triggers Golden Cudgel Strike, so the passive we had a look before, he gains a stack of Sunder. Sunder can stack up to 5 times. Using the ultimate at full stacks consumes all Sunder stacks. The ultimate consumes full stacks of Sunder, enabling the hero to ignore 60% of the target's defense, which is 10% higher than Silas's defense penetration on his arrows, or 40% lower than what a Silas does in his ultimate, where he penetrates 100% defense. So we have a 60% inbuilt defense ignore for 15 seconds, which could be really nasty if his ultimate, let's say his ultimate only takes 20 seconds. That means you have a 75% uptime on a 60% defense ignore. Nasty business. Okay, Splitting Hairs. Here we, now I also know the ultimate range. And Splitting Hair deals 100% damage 18 times to one enemy and inflicts stun. The stun lasts for 0.1 seconds. The ability takes 4.5 seconds. So pretty much you stun him for 1.8 seconds. Basically one hit, 0.1 second stun, and then another one. So overall a 1.8 second stun with 1800% damage. Okay, that already sounds like a very ridiculous kit. You'll probably have seen all the intricacies already. There is some very interesting interactions, and that is number 1, here's a summoner, right? So Enora and Beelzebub and all these summoner boosters are going to have a field day with him. So his clones do count as summons, which means they can be buffed. And what I'm wondering is right here with the Sage clones, when he has 3 Sage clones, he increases his attack by 20%, but it does say of the hero's attributes, so I don't think he summons a stronger clone just because he's attack buffed. That would be kind of weird. Okay, so we have the basic kit through. You've already seen it in action. Let's have a look at the awakenings, the make or breaks for a character. Awakening 1. The first time Splitting Hairs is triggered in each battle, allies within 2 tiles gain Monkey Business. So Monkey Business, what does it do? Monkey Business prevents death one time when the carrier takes fatal damage, dispels all debuffs on the team and restores 50% of their max HP. Okay, so interesting. When his ultimate is triggered, so splitting hairs, 2 tiles around him would be yeah, it should be like 1 2 1 2, so like a big square. It should be a big square. And Monkey Business. Okay, so the A1 is nothing damage oriented, but it does prevent death, which already screams Guild Boss 2 or a general fuck up, be it in story or anywhere else. A2, 300 attack. Okay. And then the A3, Sage's clone has a 25% chance to inflict stun when dealing damage to enemies. If the enemy is immune to stun when triggered, it instead deals 150% damage one time. If the hero has golden glare, he will also gain a stack of thunder. Okay. So what the A3 does is allow SUN-WUKONG's Sage clones the ability to Golden Cudgel strike. So the Golden Cudgel passive is only for SUN-WUKONG, and at A3 the clones get a slightly weaker version with the same stun duration but dealing 150% damage instead of the full 200%, and they also have the ability to grant SUN-WUKONG Thunder, which I think that hints towards him using his ultimate pretty often. Because the only reason you would want to have Thunder stacks if you're using his ultimate to enable the defense ignore. So when the hero triggers Golden Cudgel Strike, or when the clones trigger Golden Cudgel Strike, he does 60% defense ignore. Nasty. A4, 8% penetration, cause why not? And now the make or break. Okay, that's an essay. Let's check this out. So, it is another enhancement for the ultimate. Increases damage instances of splitting hairs by 18. But doesn't it already do 18 instances? So the damage goes from 1800% to 3600%. What the fuck? Okay, and that's not even all. Next up we have raising the Undaunted Might stack cap by 25%, by 25. Which means if we have a look at his talent, it now takes you gain 1 stack every 30 seconds, so 150 seconds for 5 stacks, 300 seconds or 5 minutes for 10 stacks, and then you get what I mean, right? So overall you can increase the damage rate against bosses from just 5% all the way to 30% increased damage, but it will take quite a while. So 30 times 30, which is 900, which is around 15 minutes. Yes, it takes around 15 minutes, but at that point you're doing 30% damage, which is probably a multiplier that is absolutely ridiculous. But that's still not the end of the A5, okay? After using Splitting Hairs, Golden Cudgel's Strikes trigger chance increases by 35% for 12 seconds. So after you use this ultimate, the trigger chance of Golden Cudgel Strike jumps from 25 to 60%. Over half of your attacks are going to deal 200% against a target that can be stunned, or rather 400% against a target that cannot be stunned. That seems very, very broken, and I hope it doesn't apply to the A3, because that would just be ridiculous. So, just from looking at this ultimate, I'll give you my opinion. This is the strongest A5 in the entire game. Facts. We don't even have to yet test him. Yeah, it is the strongest A5 in the entire game, hands down. That's what I say, and that's probably what we're going to be proven true by the testing. So, before we get into any testing, let's have a look at SUN-WUKONG, and let me give you the mid-testing, mid-showcase feedback. Do not summon. Do not summon any summons until his banner. Skip Lyra, skip whatever banner, skip Ares, skip everything, save for him. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Reason being, his kit already seems overpowered, the multipliers are high, the base stats are there, the range is there, and the awakenings sound absolutely overpowered. Keep in mind, every copy you're getting now means you need less soul stones, be it the Lord exclusive ones or the unpolished ones. You need less soul stones to get to that A3 and A5. The way it looks like, you really do want him at A3, and preferably and obviously you want him at A5. Okay, so that is SUN-WUKONG. Yeah, I mean, what the hell? Who thought? What? Yeah. He sounds pretty strong. I've basically tested every hero in the entire game multiple times at multiple awakenings in pretty much every piece of content, and let me tell you straight, he sounds absolutely overpowered. And for those already scared of the Boreas debacle that we had all the way back last year around Christmas, our developers might be a couple things. They might be a lot of things, but they definitely aren't unable to learn from mistakes. Trust me, if they release this hero like this on the game, if they don't change his kit before he's able to be summoned, they aren't going to make him worse. They just can't afford it. They know it, we know it, everybody knows it. So what you're seeing here and or what you see on the day that you summon is going to be what you're going to get. That's just the way it is, just so we all are on the same page. Now, the good news doesn't stop here, because he wasn't already overpowered enough. Let's have a look at his exclusive artifact, Golden Cudgel. What does it do? It increases his damage by a flat 20%. Pretty overpowered, but here comes the kicker. Summoning Sage's Clone additionally restores 6% rage, which means my guy over here, every third basic attack restores 6% of his ultimate gauge. Okay, yeah. Keep in mind, it is only a 700 rage cost, which is abysmally low. That is absolutely low, something that could be charged way too fast, and he then already gains around 42 rage every time he summons a clone. So the faster your SUN-WUKONG with his basic attacks, the more rage he's going to get. And if you weren't already convinced that he's overpowered, that you should keep all your summons, that's another reason. The best part about this is, it's free. I can't quite tell you how you're going to get it, but the developers told me this artifact is going to be freely available for all of us. It also sounds like a good candidate to use for the book. Now, the rage doesn't actually increase if you increase the level of the artifact, but it does increase the damage. And considering the fact that you're going to use this artifact anyway, you might as well upgrade it with the books to make it even stronger. But before we make a final decision, obviously we'll have to look at his testing results. So, we've all seen the kit, we've all seen the power. Now it's just time for him to prove himself. The way we'll be doing this is actually going to be him trying to solo Nightmare 4. And if I'm talking solo, I mean solo. All these other units are either there for rage buffs, being Hollow and Laurel, or invigoration buff, being Dolores. We aren't going to use Wrath, we're not going to use Kigiri, and we're not going to use Volker. She is just there for the respawn reduction for Laurel, and Wrath is there for the Lord bonus. So, the gear that we're going to give him is actually going to be the following. It is going to be overpowered gear, but he also has to take on a overpowered challenge. He is going to get his exclusive artifact, and gear wise we actually have a weapon with attack percent, crit rate, attack percent, crit damage, attack speed and HP bonus, and a chest piece with attack percent, crit rate, crit damage and HP bonus. The reason for that is that, as you've probably already seen, or you might not have seen, his clones cannot get healed. So his clones can't get healed, and him having the clones on the field is obviously a DPS increase, because they can attack by themselves, they can help him get the thunder stacks, and they can also do a whole bunch of damage. Next up, we then have crit damage with attack percent, crit rate, attack speed, attack, crit damage, attack percent, crit rate, attack speed, attack, and then attack percent with crit rate, crit damage, attack speed, attack. Again, obviously nothing too realistic when it comes to gear, but also keep in mind, not top of the line gear, because we could have used variant gear and potentially even Nightmare or Watcher exclusive gear on him. But yeah, it is really good gear. No rage regen, just a spur of the moment decision. You could probably also just change the flat attack to range regen, and he might even perform better. But yeah, so we have him at around total 45,000 HP, and that is even pre-Lord bonus and what else. So yeah, the way we're going to do this is pretty simple. We'll be facing SUN-WUKONG as the only damage dealer against Nightmare 4 at A0, A3 and A5. We'll have to see how far he can get. And the other important part is SUN-WUKONG needs space, as you've probably already seen in the gameplay showcase thing before. He places these things like whaling skulls, so he places them on tiles where you would normally place units, so you do need 3 spaces to place units in his ultimate range, because he summons them within ultimate range. And if we take a look at his ultimate range again, it is vortex range but slightly less, so you at least need 3 free tiles around and in this ultimate range. So that's going to be our goal. Okay, enough of this. Now gear, really quickly, we have Dolores' exclusive gear, so that there's no RNG involved. And we have an invigoration set, not a Wings Grace, just a normal invigoration set on Laurel. And then a rage regen set on Hollow, with some extra rage regen from the mana spring, but it's nothing too important. So A0, Nightmare 4. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can do. So we put him down first, we give him the inspiration buff, we bring in Dolores, we bring in Hollow, and then we increase the faction bonus right here. Time to take out Volker. And then we go to 2 times speed. So, first ultimate. Hollow ultimate, waiting for Dolores' ultimate to be ready. Trigger that one, pull out Laurel, and trigger his ultimate. Okay, so we are already at around 1 million. No, I think that's 10 million. Wukong already dealt 10 million in all of, what was that, 20 seconds. Here we can Dolores boost plus ultimate. He absolutely annihilates the shield. And that gives him a free reign to hit the boss while he's down. So, right here what we're going to do is we place down Laurel, activate his ultimate, take out Laurel to boost him mid-ultimate, and then activate Hollow. So far so good, we've already crossed 4k blood. We activate his ultimate once again while Dolores is active. Looks pretty good. So the greatest change is obviously going to be the shields. Here we wait for Dolores, activate all our ultimates, bring in Laurel, take out Laurel, use the ultimate again. So the ultimate actually hit against the shield, timing wise fits quite well. Here we can increase the rage again, use his ultimate one more time, and we broke the we didn't break the shield. We almost did. So A0 Wukong almost broke the shield. That's pretty crazy. So I guess with a bit of variant gear, and obviously if you were to like wait a slight bit with the timing, you would be able to break the shield with A0 SUN-WUKONG at a staggering 60 million damage up until the second shield. That doesn't seem fair. So yeah, now we're going to do the same thing with A3. So A3 time. What changed is that we can now apply Monkey Business with the A1. We get 300 more base attack with the A2. And now our clones can also Kaju Strike, which means 150% damage rather than 40%. And because we can summon 3 clones, we have a, you could say, 75% chance on every basic attack cycle for us to trigger the Kaju Strike. We're going to keep the timings the same. You have the timings below me rather than in the first run where I was completely over them. And here, again, we just wait for Dolores to be ready, trigger Dolores, take out Laurel, trigger Wukong. And yeah, just watch him increase his rage. Every time he summons a clone, he gets 42 rage, or in other terms, the promised 6% from the artifact. So yeah, the artifact is pretty much a must-have. If you aren't using the artifact on him, you're pretty much just trolling. And yeah, the way his kit works is, as you've seen, his clones can actually be killed. If his clones die, he obviously loses out on quite a bit of damage. And that means you just gotta ensure that his clones stay alive. And the way you do that is like, for example, by stunning or breaking the dragon's shield, which means they can't attack at all, which obviously isn't quite true for most boss fights. But his clones are also rather chunky at, I think, currently around 50,000 HP, which really isn't all that easy to get rid of quickly. So here we trigger all 3 ultimates again. Bring in Laurel, take out Laurel, activate my man Wukong, trigger Dolores again, bring in that Hollow ultimate, use Wukong's ultimate again, break the Dragon Shield this time, and we're already looking at 12k blood from a single unit dealing damage. Right here we're going to wait a bit for Dolores and Wukong to be ready. Just makes the most sense timing wise, as well as Hollow. Taking out Laurel here. And then using his ultimate again. Now, I don't really know if he has what it takes to kill the third shield, but we shall see how far he actually gets. So that's already 15 or 5 million down. And then right here, can we get Laurel in one more time? There we go, 9 million left in activate, activate, activate. So there was some slight timing mistakes, you could say. So for the A5 we will have to make everything a bit faster, which means we could have, for example, triggered the ultimate a bit earlier, placed Laurel in a bit earlier, but it wouldn't have been able to help us kill the shield. Though we are still currently at 15,000 blood with a single unit. And the reason why he's still alive and Dolores is still alive is obviously Monkey Business. And the reason why Hollow died, yeah, I don't know. It said 2 tiles around him. Apparently 2 tiles around him isn't all the way down here. So it might just be like, pretty much it might just be Dolores range. So like 2 in every direction and then once around him, which would mean she would be slightly outside of it. So that is, then let's have a look at his damage to have a comparison. So the A0 was able to give us a straight up 60 million, with the A3 now 116 million. And now obviously the A5, the ability that only gives the most broken A5, the strongest A5 in the entire game in my opinion. Let's have a look at what it can do against Guild Boss 1. So, same with last run, nothing much changed. We now unlock the A5 as well as obviously the 8% penetration boost, which can't be underestimated, coming from the A4. Then we just trigger the Lord bonus here. We're going to again keep the timings the same and hopefully be able to break the third shield. Though to be fair, breaking the third shield would, like, if you've played this game for any length of time besides starting just now, you would know how ridiculous it would be if he could solo the third shield. I just have this kind of gut feeling that they probably did a bit too much with him, so I would rate his chance of beating the third shield as very high. But let's see. I might be wrong. I might be wrong with this one. So we are already looking at 50 million damage after 50 seconds. Here we do the same thing I said. So we wait, put in, activate, take out, and then activate both ultimates. We are going to keep the we're going to try to keep the timings a bit tighter, not waste anything much, just so we give him the biggest chance possible to obviously deal with the shield. So yeah, just ignore that bit of spam clicking. It just, yeah, it's just to like min max our potential right there. And here we go. And then one more ultimate, 5 million remaining on the shield, and poof, gone. Yeah, nice. So we are already looking at 16,000 blood. What do we do here? I guess we just wait for Dolores again. Yeah, I think we can wait for Hollow too. And then take out. Attack. Double trigger. Boost the ult. And here we're going to wait for the shield, just to give him that slight bit more of a chance. So we're looking at only 6 million remaining on the shield, and we're closing in on that Laurel. So all it should take is one ultimate. And there we go. Third shield broken, 25,000 blood just by himself. And then, just for good measure, another ultimate. And that's still not it. We're still 40 seconds away. So how high can he go? How far can he push? There we go. And Laurel in, Laurel out. 28,000, 29,000. We're probably, yeah, we're breaking 30k. He is breaking 30k all by himself. Maybe 31? Nope. 30,767 blood earned by a single character. 228 million. And that's, yeah. Keep in mind, this is 228 million without anything else. So let's just list a couple of changes you could be making here, right? So first off, you could use Wings of Grace rather than what we have right here. You could be using Wings of Grace rather than Invigoration, so that's 2% attack, nothing much. You could be using a different Lord, so Torador, which means every basic attack has another chance to hit again. Works very well with this kit. Sounds absolutely broken. You could be using Defense Down, Vulnerabilities, Bleeds. Any other units there? Speed buffs. There's so much you could do here. Like, just imagine the impact of having even more units. And he's just doing 228 million by his lonesome. Like, what the fuck? So, yeah, I think he's the only character in the game. I would probably put my hand in the fire and say he's the only character in the game with the ability to solo break the third shield in NM4. Like, I'm like pretty certain he's the only one that would be able to do what he did right there. Damn. SUN-WUKONG, heaven's equal indeed. So just for those curious, while we're already on the A5, let's just swap to the GVG one, where we take a look at his BP. If we just push the BP with gear as much as possible, while also giving him an exclusive artifact at 25, the answer is going to be 108,115. Yeah, 108,115 BP. Heavens equal SUN-WUKONG, 228 million, 60% permanent defense ignore. Like, you've seen the amount of ultimates we had. So basically we're looking at a character that has permanent defense ignore, summons that deal potentially 150% of his damage at a 25% chance, 3 summons of those, rage region on summoning a summon, 20% safe attack buff if he already has 3 summons. Like, we don't even have to, like, I don't even have to stretch this video and show him to you in different content. This should already be enough. This should already be enough to convince you to use all your summons on his banner. Do not summon on the other banners. Save everything for the 27th. Save everything. Yeah, don't summon. Save everything for him. It is that simple. And yeah, I guess you're obviously going to get a testing video and some like in-depth numbers on how much he can do with the full team, how much can he do at different awakenings. But this should have been the best baseline possible. It is enough of a showcase to convince you to summon. Like, there isn't much more I would even need to do to convince you to get him. Like, he's too good. And also always keep in mind future content. In future content, you're probably going to cry if you don't have him. So yeah, he's also someone that has like damage numbers comparable to a Hex in a full team. Like, a Hex does around like 250 million on Guild Wars 1. And he also does it. Like, we finally have another exclusive artifact that is in the same league as Hex's Book of Samsara. You know his book, right? The one that everybody wants. So yeah, just imagine him in, for example, the Zealous Codex, completely destroying the barriers. Like, with SUN-WUKONG, you're probably going to be able to do what? 5 million damage? That's going to be like triple the requirements of what you need for triple S. Yeah. Like, I think you can already imagine how much damage my boy is going to be putting out in Guild Wars 2 and all. And again, you're going to get all the big numbers tomorrow, as well as obviously the mandatory should you summon, with the answer being a fat no. Do not summon. Do not do it. Don't do it. Stop it. So yeah, this has already been the showcase video. Again, consider subscribing, leaving a like, leaving a comment, whatever. I'll try to answer most of them, and we see each other in the next one. Peace!